Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, Bow and Arrow Tarot. Today we are doing the middle October love check-in for the sign of Aquarius. Today it's all about the air signs. Next up will be the fire signs and then the earth signs. Alright guys, cross watchers, the water signs are up already, so you want to check those out. We're going to do a Celtic cross variation for the mid-love check-in, switch it up a little bit. And of course, if you resonate with this, then please like, subscribe, and share. All of that stuff helps me out and helps my channel out. Thank you so much. All right, Aquarius, let's get right into your cards. We have Sun at the center. Oh, excuse me, Moon at the center. And Four of Cups. There we go. Page of Swords. Four of Wands. And we have Seven of Cups before, coming into an Eight of Swords. This is second reading with the Eight of Swords in that position. So it seems like might be a collective issue this mid-October. And also Six of Wands. Also, this is the second, I believe, maybe even the third reading, we've seen this combination of cards, Eight of Swords and Six of Wands. So, all right, guys. So let's take a look at what's happening here. Of course, in the center, we have the moon. All right. And over it, we have Four of Cups. Interesting, right? What's going on here, Aquarius? It seems as though somebody is not being very forthright with their feelings. Could be that their feelings are a little bit hidden. It just seems like, you know, moon energy, of course, talks about deeper feelings, deeper energies, and things like that that are sort of shrouded, veiled, right? You kind of see what's going on. You can kind of feel what's going on in this dynamic. But it seems as though something is not all the way clear, or someone is not letting you completely in. Moon energy is very sort of up and down, right? Emotional, very emotional, but unsure. And so in this way, it can sometimes feel unstable. So Four of Cups is all about wanting stability in your relationship. So right now, Aquarius, if you're resonating with this reading, then some of you are right now feeling a little bit perhaps unsure about your relationship, maybe confused about some of the feelings that you're having, or even it may be that you're getting mixed messages from your partner. All right. And right now it's all about stability, right? So the feelings that you're not sure this middle month period, if the person you're with is actually going to show improve, right? They're handing you a cup of love, but you're just not sure if that cup of love is what you want, especially with this moon energy at the center. Now, above it all, we're talking about communication. Page of Swords is in the forefront. So right now, it seems as though it could be that you guys may need to get back to basics when it comes to communication. Get back to sort of just talking to each other. It could be that for a period of time you may not have been talking to each other as much as you used to, or perhaps the conversation just hasn't been on the right topic. Somewhere along the line, this is what we're talking about, a breakdown in communication. It could be that your person is having a difficult time expressing themselves to you, right? And so you may need to take the lead in that with that Page of Swords. You may be the one. You may need to be the one who opens up the conversation and says, look, what's going on here? You know, I feel like you're in the relationship, but I feel like there's something you're not telling me. You know, you're offering me a cup of love. You're offering me love, right? You're saying you want a connection with me, but it seems to not be full of any substance. It seems to be empty. It could just be words as well. Oftentimes this can be when somebody just tells you the things you want to hear, but the feeling isn't behind it. And so the message and the feeling seem to sort of be at odds with each other. And so these are the conversations that you may have to initiate with your person Aquarius, to kind of get to the bottom of why you're feeling this way. Why you're feeling as though the stability of your relationship or the stability of this offer that someone is giving you may not be there. Now, underneath of it all, you have a love connection, right? You feel as though this is a love connection. And so, in this way, it's not so much that you don't care about them, but you just don't want to be hurt. You don't want to fall into this, Four of Wands is a really nice, again, it's another four. We have Four of Cups here where it's more like your stability is kind of in question. But Four of Wands, the stability and a connection, an equal connection has been established in terms of your sort of energy, right? Your fiery energy, that which motivates us through life. You've really met the right match in this way. And so right now it's really more about being unsure, right? Maybe having anxiety because you do care so much about this person. Some of you may be dealing with a new connection as well. Okay, you may love them. You may feel like this is the right person for you with this Four of Wands deep in your, this is the subconscious realm here. So inside you may feel like in your heart and in your intuitive nature is feeling that yes, this is the right connection, but you may just be fearful, right? Or you may just be unsure. You don't want to be hurt. Right? And if this is how you feel with this Four of Wands, you know certainly that if you give your heart to this person and it turns out that what they have to offer you really is empty, it isn't what you expected or what you wanted, then that's why you're feeling sort of like unsure. That's why you're feeling apprehensive. You're not sure if you want to take this cup of love, right? You don't want to open yourself up for this vulnerability. Seven of Cups is here. So most recently, Seven of Cups talks about really having to face up to facts. It could be that some of you, Aquarius, I'm going to say for some of you, you may indeed be having a soul, to you, what is a soulmate connection with someone. But it could indeed be just kind of you that's feeling it, right? They may be telling you all the right things, but now with this moon energy coming in, you're starting to perhaps realize that maybe what you've been dreaming for this relationship has been unrealistic. Or maybe you've been really just kind of not paying attention to the real signs and really just more focusing on what you want to believe is true, right? This is what we talk about with Seven of Cups. It talks about really kind of like, wishing for a situation to be one way when it isn't that way. Oftentimes as well, it can be when you're truly unhappy or unsettled, but you're afraid to acknowledge that for the sake of the relationship, right? You feel almost as if like if you say something about how you're truly feeling or the anxiety that you're having, that you might ruin something or that you might mess something up. And so you kind of, push it to the side and you hope for the best, right? And after a while of this kind of attitude or this kind of thinking, oftentimes we can then really fool ourselves into believing that what we want the relationship to be is what it is, and it isn't, right? So it's time to kind of face up to the reality. Certainly if your person is saying the right things, but their actions aren't proving it. Now here we have an Eight of Swords. It's quite interesting because Eight of Swords talks about putting good boundaries in place, and in a way it talks about also having too much of a rigid thinking. And so in this way, you're alienated from others, right? And so, it's interesting because this is my victimizer card. This is my gaslighter card. Could very well be that, like I've said, you've been kind of like, you've been kind of holding on to the best of a situation, even though it may not be what you wished it to be. And so here with this Eight of Swords as well, you're starting to realize that perhaps the person that you're involved with is maybe guilt tripping you, right? They may be trying to blame you for their inability to express themselves, because Eight of Swords is very much that person who blames everyone else. Their rigid thinking, which is symbolized by those swords, is what alienates them from everyone else around them. This is the person who, thinks they're always right. It's their way or the highway. It's really hard to talk to this person. They never really compromise on a position. This is the type of individual who will overtalk you, or they won't listen to you, right? And so this behavior alienates them from people. People don't want to be around this kind of energy. And then invariably this person will blame everyone else around them for the fact that they have no friends, or for the fact that no one wants to speak to them, right? They seem to be bound, and they blame others for their inability to make their own decisions. This person will often say, if you didn't act this way, I wouldn't have to do what I do, or I wouldn't have to treat you the way I treat you. Oftentimes this can be a real narcissist, or even an abusive individual, whether they're mentally abusive or not so much physically abusive, but more mentally and emotionally abusive, right? This is the type of person who causes a lot of chaos and a lot of negativity, and then really blames everyone else around them. And so it could very well be that as you get into sort of like really facing up to what your relationship is truly all about, and maybe instigating some of these open conversations, you start to really realize who this person is with the Eight of Swords. You start to realize that that they're kind of like, they aren't what you expected perhaps them to be, right? They may be resonating with a lot of self-esteem issues as well, which is why you may be attracted to them. You may have this connection here, but yet it doesn't seem to vibe or jive with the feelings they're emitting. Right? Because moon energy is so kind of elusive and illusionary, right? It's so kind of like, you can't really put your finger on it. You can't really, you can't be sure, right? There's no surety here. This is all very kind of in the feeling realm, right? And what they're handing you is empty. Their actions aren't sort of reaffirming what they're saying. Their actions aren't really, proving to you that they really love you, right? And it's like, you have this almost intuitive feeling inside that they're hiding something from you, or that they're just not who they say they are. And like I said, as you get into this more, for some of you Aquarius, you're going to realize this even more. I would say that this person, or the person you're dealing with, as you come into the future, as you come into the rest of the month, this energy that's coming in, and it's certainly, if you're kind of like waking up to the fact that maybe you've been painting the picture a little prettier than it is. Maybe you've been looking through rose-colored glasses a little bit about your relationship. As you come closer to the reality of it, you face up to the reality of it, I think you begin to see your person more and more for what they are. And that could be very well this energy, which is indeed very selfish. And I'm not saying that they're an extreme narcissist, toxic person. But what I am saying is that even though you feel like this is a great connection, this is a love connection deep down inside, like I said, you're still also working a little bit under this Seven of Cups, which is kind of like, not delusional so much, but wishing for the best when you know it really isn't the best, right? And again, this conversation, once you have this conversation with this person, it may be that this Eight of Swords energy isn't really so much a sort of a narcissistic sort of toxic energy that they're directing at you. It could simply be that your person is just resonating with this naturally, that they really truly feel unempowered, that they really truly believe like the world is kind of out to get them in a way, that they don't have any control of their life. And then it's not even so much that they're playing games with you, but then you're really dealing with somebody who's just very damaged, right? You're dealing with somebody who has a lot of self-esteem issues and self-confidence issues. And so in this way, I'm going to say, it's like I said, it's not so much that they're purposely kind of leading you astray or being wishy-washy, but this is just the nature of what they're resonating with right now. They're just not emotionally healthy right now. And this is automatically going to impact on you if you're dealing with this type of person and they're not able to get themselves healthy. Because the Eight of Swords sort of person who's sort of emotionally dysfunctional in this way has to change themselves. You know, because the nature of their dysfunction is the fact that they pretty much blame the world around them. So they have to begin to take responsibility for themselves, or else you'll really never get anywhere with this type of individual suffering with this kind of energy. Right? So this is not the type of energy that you can sort of fix with love or something like this. This is the type of energy that can be fixed with shadow work. And they have to be willing to do the shadow work. And if they're not, then you have to decide, I guess, where you want to go with that. Six of Wands is at the bottom of the deck. So there is a feeling of victory that will be coming in. And it could just be that you let go of this person. Right? That you let go and you realize that perhaps they're not the right person for you. And so in this way, you're free, right? You're in a way free to kind of move on towards a more harmonious relationship with somebody else. It could also just be a victory in the sense that you're freeing yourself from a connection that has been very toxic to you for a while, Aquarius, right? As you come through this period, this mid-month period, and you work through this dynamic. For those of you who are resonating with this, if you realize that you're dealing with a person, you're involved with a person that just isn't giving you enough, they're not being forthright with their feelings. When you talk to them, they try to turn around and gaslight you or blame you. It's just all toxic all the way around. Realizing this and moving on for it is a personal victory. And 6, of course, is the number for moving towards harmony. So in this way, it can be positive, although I'm sure it may be a little bit painful because you care about this person. But sometimes when you wake up to who you're really dealing with, it can be a lot easier to move on for them. And certainly if you're giving up this kind of like rose-colored view of the relationship and really seeing it for what it is. We're going to pull a couple of four more soft cards just to clarify these top, bottom, left, and right cards. Here we go, Aquarius. And then we're going to call it a day for the mid-October love check-in. 10 of Cups, 5 of Swords, 7 of Cups, and Prince of Cups. There you go. Bottom of the deck is 5 of Cups. So, misery and disappointment, right? Disappointment, relationships that are fragile, that aren't, really rooted in any kind of strength, right? Breaking apart easily. At the top, we have Page of Swords with the 10 of Cups. So, of course, this conversation is in an effort to sort of figure out what's going on here. You have a love connection. And so, like I said, it may be that this new communication will lead, indeed, to a satisfaction here. It could just mean that you need to talk to your person. Right? Because with 10 of Cups, it seems to indicate that this Page of Swords energy, once you embark on this energy and opening up this dialogue, this fresh dialogue with your lover, it certainly ascends to a content and happy place. Certainly a higher level of commitment. Right? So interesting. But at the bottom, we still have a 5 of Swords. And so sometimes it seems to be 5 of Swords can indicate that you're dealing with somebody who's just by nature very immature, right? They are, you just can't win with this person, right? You try to have a connection with them and you may be trying to communicate with them, but you may be dealing with someone who's just constantly in competition with everybody else around them. They'll do whatever they can to win. And this attitude can be a real turnoff as well, right? Certainly you feel, again, with 5 of Swords, sometimes we have to just accept defeat as well. Sometimes we just have to accept that, somebody is working or behaving in such a way that if we sink ourselves to their level, right, then we're sinking ourselves down. We're vibrating lower. Sometimes it's just good to just walk away and say, you know what, you win. I don't even want to argue with you because the energy that you're coming with, where do I begin? You know what I mean? This person is willing, the person who engages in this kind of dynamic, their victory is hollow because oftentimes they haven't played by the same rules. They haven't been fair with you. They've used manipulation or lying. And it's like in this way, sometimes you just have to say, well, you know what? Rather than getting sucked into the mud and the shit with you and engaged in this sort of dysfunctional dynamic, fine. You win, go ahead with your life. It's quite interesting that this energy is what's impacting this Four of Wands. Could very well be that you did have a stable connection with this person, but somewhere along the line, a feeling of competitiveness has entered into the relationship. And again, your person is really resonating with kind of low energy. Seven of Cups. So, Seven of Cups covers Seven of Cups. What more can we ask for, right? This just reminds you, and it's just a reaffirmation. This is why I pulled the Thought card. It's just to reaffirm that you really have to face up to facts, that things aren't as good as you have painted them, and that, you're not really as happy as you think you are, or perhaps as you're pretending to be right now. And you really have to face up to these kind of pie in the sky ideas you have about a situation that just isn't that way. And then when we get to Eight of Swords, it's covered by Prince of Cups. And again, Prince of Cups talks about, the Prince of Cups is the same as the Knight of Cups. And so here we're talking, again, usually the Knight of Cups comes in and he's only just now getting to know his own feelings. But oftentimes we see the Knight of Cups as someone, he comes in like the Don Juan or the femme fatale. They're very romantic and loving, but oftentimes they can be flighty and they can be sort of uncommitted. Right? And it could be as well that your person is resonating with this Eight of Swords energy because they're just not really sure who they are. They're not sure how they feel. They're not sure how they feel about the relationship, right? And they may just generally not be as committed of an individual and relationships as you are, right? And so again, this conversation that you have with them could certainly open them up to sort of like express themselves a bit more, at least be honest about their level of commitment with you, or at least be honest about how deep their emotions truly are, so you can really figure out why this elusive and I'm going to say illusionary kind of moon energy is here, right? This energy of not really knowing where they're coming from. Well, Prince of Cups himself isn't really sure of his deep feelings because he's only just now getting used to expressing his feelings and showing his feelings. Some of you may be really dealing with somebody who just isn't as mature as you or up to your level, Aquarius. All right, I'm going to call it. This is your mid-October love check-in. I hope it resonated. If it did, please like, subscribe, and share. All of that good stuff helps me grow my channel. If you want to get a private reading, follow that link at the bottom of your screen. But for right now, Aquarius, I'm going to say thank you so much for stopping by Bow and Arrow Tarot, and I'll see you in November for the November love forecast. Bye-bye, guys.